Hello and welcome in. I am MissKinghorn and we are back here in The Sims 4, and today we are working on a really modern kind of build. I fancied doing something a little bit more edgy with this build. Now I have a slight disclaimer for you. This is actually an oldish build. It's probably about 2 months old now. I've not been very well and I really didn't have time to record anything, so what I have done over the last few months from when I basically stopped buying any new packs is I've got backup builds, I guess we can call them, where I have just been sort of like just building just in prepare because I get ill quite a bit, and so yeah, here is one of these. So yes, this is actually in Nordhaven. This is in the Iverstad neighbourhood. This is like the edgy kind of brick factory area of it, which I have not actually built in at all yet. We've kind of done all of the other builds in Glimmerville. I guess that's how you pronounce that. I'm probably wrong. But anyway, this is over here. So yeah, that's where I have gone for this build in here. But you can sort of see we are layering different floors on top of each other. They are... It's a very fun build, I've got to be honest. It was something I kind of struggled with, I've got to be honest, with this build. You will sort of see here is the kind of finished floor plan of the outside of this. It's very large, but it is actually only on a 20 by 15 lot. So whilst this house is technically a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom, it does have quite a lot of floor space, and I have gone OTT with it. I absolutely love this build. So for what I had in my mind for when I was doing this was that this was going to be a very expensive, very kind of professional athlete or former professional athlete, I guess you could say, home into here, where they are they've spent all the money. I think they've kind of retired what I had in my mind, and you're going to see them actually later on in another build in this world as well. But yeah, they have retired from professional sports, but they have got this gorgeous kind of big house in here that they have sort of converted from maybe a factory into this family home. Well, it's not actually a family home. It has 2 bedrooms, but they are both for like adults. I guess it's one way you can probably get into there, but you'll see that later on when we get into the interior of this. I have gone for this kind of industrial dark red brick, and then the glass walls. I don't really know when the last time is I used these glass walls, if at all anywhere, and I've kind of forgot we had them. They were added in an update a little while ago, and I've just kind of forgotten that they existed. I feel like we did them maybe in the forest home, like the Scandinavian kind of build that we did. I feel like maybe one of the walls in that was glass, but honestly I can't really remember now. So yeah, but now we're getting in all of the actual sort of proper windows as well, because I felt like too much glass was going to be a bad thing. But there is definitely too much glass in this build. This is not me at all. You'll see here I'm actually playing around with the stairs. I wanted the end pieces on both of them. Now I could have them if I didn't have handrails, but I wanted handrails on both sides, so what I have done is actually change the stairs so they're now single tile stairs with just a handrail on one side, and then I get the floor bit at the bottom in as well. So we kind of have to change things around and a little bit of manipulation there to get that to work. But now we're coming in, we're doing a little bit of grass roofing. Some of this actually does change, I have got to be fair. We get in some solar panels on the very top up here. just because I figured they would be a really nice sort of eco kind of conscious building here, and especially because this is kind of based on like Amsterdam in the Netherlands, and I feel like they are kind of very conscious of those sorts of things, maybe possibly, and also it's a new build or like converted, so probably is like part of the planning when you decided to do this. You would have to kind of make it a little bit more eco-friendly into there. That's what I'm thinking. I'm just making up as I go along this point. In here, now we placed a foundation on here, but I did not like it. So I'm actually kind of covering it with these bushes, and it actually softens the whole look up a little bit more into here as well, which is kind of perfect into what I really wanted for this whole sort of build. So there is literally none of the foundation now showing. So all of the kerfuffle I had at the beginning of trying to work out what I wanted the foundation to be wasn't really worth anything. Anyhow, I did also want a tree in the front of this lot. There is no sort of outside area per se, just sort of that tree and this entranceway. Then the rest of it is just like balconies and terraces and stuff. But you'll sort of see that as we go along. Gorgeous front doors in here, and then using the steel girders a lot for little overhangs and support beams and things like that. And then we're going to come on into the interior of this. So as I said, this is a 2-bedroom 2-bathroom home, but we do also get in a home office and a gym, and what I'm really calling is a fun room. You'll sort of see when we get on with doing that in here. Now some of these glass rooms do actually change, and they sort of go out to be different kind of rooms into there. But yeah, I had a little bit of fun with some floors in this. Others I had some real difficulty with. You're going to see in here some of the shapes were a little bit confusing. Now don't get attached to this floor, because I actually change pretty much everything on that level. Up there it was the smallest of them. I did think maybe about getting another bedroom up there with a bathroom, but honestly it was just not going to work for what I really wanted. So I decided to change it all up, and that becomes the gym and the home office on the very top floor of here. It was the smallest of spaces, and I think it could have worked into there as well, but getting in some just little detail work, some drain pipes and things like that for water, and then also softening up some of these walls. They were just big expanses of brick, and it just wasn't really doing anything for me. So I have kind of softened it with placing these ginormous kind of walls of ivy and stuff, just to soften the whole look in here. But now we're going to jump onto the interior of this. So this is the entranceway. There really isn't like a dedicated entranceway per se. There's this kind of space here which actually goes into the dining room, sort of come kitchen in here. Now I have brought in a lot of the brickwork from the outside inside and kind of kept it very industrial in here as well, and you're going to see some colours come through which we use pretty much throughout all of this into here, but we do soften the whole thing up with, yep, you guessed it, plants. They are everywhere. I actually have quite a lot of fun doing this kind of build. I'm not necessarily sure if we're going to do too many more of these. I do have an idea for, as I said, the lot that these people currently own. As I said, he was like a professional athlete that's kind of like retired. So I kind of want to keep a story with him in it, but you'll sort of see that maybe later on at a later date. But I will let you know, and obviously I will tag this video in that video and vice versa when we do that. But that is for future me to worry about into here. I have even now not yet built that lot, so it will come at some point. But yes, this is the dining room. I kind of felt like they would still entertain like their former teammates and friends and things like that. So I wanted a nice big entertaining kind of space in here. Now I was struggling. I was thinking maybe an actor or something. At this point I hadn't kind of formulated what kind of celebrity, I guess, they were going to be in my head. But yeah, we settle on an athlete, and you'll sort of see how we do that at a later date, when we place down the bits that make a little bit more sense for all of that. Now, I love this giant TV. Can you just imagine watching sports on that TV in there? We do actually go back to the dining room. I'm not entirely happy with it, so brace yourselves for that one. But using a lot of this sleek living sort of kit in here, we're getting some artwork on the wall just to kind of make that feel a little bit nicer. I wanted it to be kind of very sensibly cluttered, but not over the top kind of cluttered in here. So we've got this sort of red kind of sofas with the dark wood furniture, bringing in with lots of blacks and sorts of that for the sort of colourings of furniture and stuff. And here we go, this is a nod to the trophy room. We basically have a whole rack here of trophies. There are more up in the office, but yeah, I kind of change up some of these for some more sporty ones, because I kind of figured they would be a little bit more in keeping with what I really wanted in there. And probably not the best place to have them surrounded by so much glass windows, but you know what I mean. Why not in here? So I'm kind of, in my head, I'm thinking this is for a couple. He's a professional athlete, and yeah, there you go, there's the change to that room in there. And yeah, like maybe she's got a job, or maybe she just sort of looks after the home while he's off playing and things like that, but maybe he has just retired and they're sort of settling down into here and have had this place specially built just for them in there. Lots of sort of that kit used in here as well. I love the rug. I don't think I've actually used it in this swatch before, with that kind of sort of circular and lots of lines through it and things like that. I kind of think it actually looks really cool. And just some photos of like teammates and events and stuff, just to kind of fill that sort of space in here. Now, these wind curtains, they caused me so many havocs when I was building this. Yeah, they, yeah, because they clip to the wall, or clip to the windows, not the wall, I was fighting them, and then when I came back into this, they had basically all been deleted. So what you're seeing there might not actually be the final version, because they just kept disappearing on me. But in here, we are now going to jump over into the kitchen. Now, this is actually quite a small kitchen. It's in this kind of little pop-out nook area, which I quite like, and it was really the only place for the kitchen to go. I did think when I sort of started this that maybe the dining room could go in here and the kitchen could go in where the dining room is, but honestly, it didn't really feel quite right to me. Yeah, I change all these tables, the sort of chairs, just so that they all match, but following through with that sort of dark wood and black kind of colours theme into here. Now, I am fighting myself with different shelving unit in here. I wanted it to be quite a modern kitchen, and like just closed cabinets just didn't really work for me. So I was like, let's just have some shelving. Yeah, it didn't work with these ones. So in the end, we went for these ones in here, and I changed them so that they are at different heights in there, just to give me a little bit more options of different things to place on them. And then I have placed some cabinets on the top. I'm gonna be honest, maybe this athlete is like a baseball player, because they are so high up. I don't think anybody else would reach them. But you know what? They're just decorative. It's fine. You don't need them anyway in the game. Nothing actually is like produced from them. So they're just there for the sake of existing, I'm going to be honest. Now, I wanted to keep this quite minimal in terms of clutter in the kitchen, because one, I feel like this is a really modern build and they don't tend to have too much like clutter out. Everything kind of has its place and is put away and is all kind of hidden. So I was kind of trying to do something kind of along those lines in here, and yeah, trying to place everything on these shelving, it didn't quite work how I wanted, but you know what, we kind of got everything in okay, and just a chopping board that has been left on the side, and also the soap and that for sort of the sink as well. And then I have placed a blender for protein smoothies and things like that, because I feel like their diet is probably something that they would keep up with even though they have retired. Into here, and that is basically it for the kitchen in this. We do get out, more plants into here. I actually love this fern that we get in here as well, and I'm trying to find, and I have one sped this up, and I think two I've also cut this plant here. I struggled looking for that for so long. I don't know why it took me so long to actually find that plant, but yeah, we did in the end. And then I was going to have another like shirt, jersey, whatever on the wall there, but I then remembered that we got these ones of like the drinks, and I kind of figured that they would be a little bit more appropriate for the kitchen. Now again, I was going to place a rug in here because we don't really have a rug in the kitchen, and it wasn't really working for me in here. But now we're going to jump upstairs. This is the floor that has 2 bedrooms and a bathroom on it. Now there are lots of sort of shelving units in here, lots of bookshelves, and lots of just sort of purposeful clutter, I guess is one way I would put it. So we have like the vase, we have bits and pieces that make kind of sense, that are just like, maybe you've picked them up, or maybe you've had a stylist or an interior designer come and design this place for you, and that's just the stuff they've put on the shelves. That's kind of what I was thinking in here. But this is actually the main bedroom. In here, it basically has a brick wall, a white wall, and 2 glass walls. I would feel so exposed in this room. Now, again, we do place the curtains that we use downstairs, and they're basically used throughout except for the bathrooms. I would say that this probably has like these special kind of windows that I've seen on Grand Designs anyway. I don't necessarily know how expensive they are, but they like tint the windows so you can have them as like see-through, like a mirrored or complete like blackout. That's kind of what I was thinking you would actually probably need to have for this kind of build, because there are a lot of windows. I have used just the small windows in the bathrooms, but yeah, this bedroom still feels way too exposed for my liking. But hey, this is The Sims, and they don't really care. Other than the bathrooms, they don't care about being like seen in their underwear or seen in bed or anything like that. So hey, I don't really care then. This is The Sims. Into here. Now we're following through with the same colour palette that we've used downstairs, but we're sort of changing it. We're adding in some lighter kind of touches in here. I like this little armchair in sort of that soft sort of creamy colour in there. It kind of brings out the cream in the rug as well a little bit into there. We do come back. I actually place one of the little Coach handbags on the little seat at the bottom of the bed in here, and then I figured we hadn't really used too much colour in this, so I have decided to bring in a red bed for this second bedroom. Now this was originally going to be against this wall here, but I felt like it was too tight to fit in there. Like, we can get a double bed in there, but it just felt a little bit tight for what I really wanted in here. So I've kind of placed down this sort of dressing table and then a big sort of wardrobe in there. And I said at the beginning this was a very odd shaped house, and it really is. Now what we have here is quite a lot of space left, and we have at this point got 2 doorways in this area leading to 2 different terraces. Now I take one out here, as you can see, that leads onto the main terrace that we'll deal with, but there is a smaller one at the front of this that has like exclusive access just for this bedroom. Now this area over here, I was placing down some sofas just to kind of fill this little space, because I didn't want to make it into like a teen bedroom and put like a computer or like a gaming setup or anything like that in here. I felt like maybe this is like the spare bedroom, or like if they're getting ready for an event, maybe he keeps the main bedroom and she jumps over into here to kind of get ready with the makeup station and like that dressing table and that sort of thing. That's kind of what I was thinking, but like it's just a spare bedroom. Maybe they've got friends staying over or whatever in there, and they wanted a nice little seating area and a private sort of deck for them in here. Now this one in here, I actually give them a little bit more privacy of these big windows. I do come through again and put the curtains in some of the rooms that I forget later on, but that just sort of blocks this view, sort of looking out onto here, which I feel like is more for the main bedroom. I feel like it's only for them to use. Now I have smudged two of these lounges together to make kind of a double bed in there, and I've also placed out a single one just in case I want a little bit of separation in there. And this room here is going to be the kind of playroom, the games room. We kind of get in here, so we get in the ping pong table, the darts table, we have a bar, we have this sort of cards game that they can play. I don't actually think that works if it's not on a gaming table, one of those sort of square ones, but none of them kind of fitted, so I've just kind of placed it here. I hope it still works. If not, you're gonna have to get rid of something to make it fit. But anyway, that is, I didn't go that much into playtesting like each individual item. I just sort of playtested that they could walk around and sit in places and play darts and get a drink and bits and pieces like that in here. But yeah, we get in the ping pong table over there as well, and then that's where we get in the guitar in. Now that guitar has been moved from basically floor to floor to floor, and it finally gets settled over here. Maybe he's a collector, maybe he wants like from a movie or something kind of along those lines. It's a big piece that they've kept from that sort of time period or something like that, from their favourite song or whatever. Now this, I've got to be honest, actually changes. I changed this wall where I've just placed the big sign, football sign on, soccer sign. I actually changed that to a glass wall. It feels a little bit more in keeping with it when I was dealing with like screenshots and things, so that didn't actually change until the very last moment off camera. So I placed that sign on the other wall as well, so we do actually keep it in there. But you'll see I have just deleted the floor plan for the top floor. That yeah, is going to be the home office and gym. But now we're going to work on this big entertaining space out here. Now whereas the second floor is just sort of like bedrooms and it's a little bit more private, up here I kind of felt like this was the entertaining floor, and so I really wanted sort of some more kind of space where, like, if you're indoors and you got all your teammates and you got lots of friends over, you can kind of spill out onto here, grab like some burgers or something along those lines. I really wanted this to be a place where lots of people could go and kind of gather and have fun and entertain. And you would have seen there, I tried to place a hot tub up here. Honestly, I could have got it to work, but I would have lost so much more space. So in the end, I decided not to, and we've gone with another little seating area. There were quite a few seating areas in this build, but I feel like it actually really works for what I really wanted in here. So yeah, I think this house is nicely coming together into there. If you like it, then make sure to give it a big thumbs up and comment down below. You can also download this right now on the gallery as well, so don't forget to do that and leave a comment on there. It would mean so very much to me. But yeah, we've placed some lighting up here as well. I just kind of wanted a space, especially kind of at night. I felt like this would be somewhere to kind of use, and yes, I did forget to place this balcony and do all of these bits and pieces. I'm going to jump down and do that. Again, it's just another little sitting area with some plants for some privacy. But now we're going to jump up to the very top. I feel like this house has way too many stairs. I would not be able to handle it. But anyway, this is the home office. So this looks out kind of over that decked area on the top there. And this, I feel like, is where they would have like Zoom meetings with agents and like those sorts of things would kind of be up here. And yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking when I was sort of doing this. And maybe they spend a little bit more time up here now that they have retired and are sort of settling into the second part of their sort of career in terms of this up here. So we've got a nice computer, a few little bits and pieces, a couple of books, maybe they're like world travelling books or something from their time when they were playing sports or something like that. And then I said when we did the ground floor that I wanted some more trophies. This is where we get them up here. I feel like as a backdrop to sort of if he's going to be on the computer in like meetings and stuff, he will want these photos to sort of show off to look, I've won all of this, I'm worth whatever. Into there we kind of got a few, mixed them all together, and I think it kind of makes a little bit more sense up here, and they're also going to be a little bit safer than they are down on the ground floor. But hey, that is one thing we don't have to worry about. But again, I'm not sure what kind of sport he played, but I felt like we've played basketballs on the ball. I don't know. I'll let you be the judge. There is actually a athletic career, so you could kind of do that if you really wanted to in here. I was kind of thinking like American football or something kind of along those lines when I was building this. But here is the home gym. It's quite small, but I feel like that would make a little bit more sense when we actually work out what kind of business he has at a later date. Sneaky little peek there for the next one in this. It's not going to be the next build, but it's coming up soon, so keep your eye out for that one in here. But as I said earlier, this build is available right now on the gallery, and yeah, you can follow me there, you can subscribe to me here on YouTube or pretty much on all social medias. The links to those are in the description. But until next time, stay happy and stay building, everyone. Bye.